Childhood, growing and developing years of a person. This is meant to be a highly important time to create morals, fundamentals, and skills necessary to be a success. Instead, the trauma CPS creates in these young minds set a path of disaster, and statistics prove it. In nearly 90% of their cases, the trauma is unnecessary. Time is the one thing that can never be given back. CPS takes away moments in life that can't be replaced. The time just keeps going, doesn't mean a thing anymore. They left as children, and it's up to them when they come home if they know who you are. Each second away is time you will never get back and keep getting older.
Studies are leading towards incarceration.
Now comes the honorable judge in the halls of justice, where the Constitution will hold strong, and your rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness will trample CPS for all they have done to your child.
The truth and corruption that's revealed to you is enough to make you sick. This is not America we were sold.
Children are being taken from families at the rate of one a minute. It needs to be stopped.
It's time to wake up and abolish CPS.
Psalm 127:3. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. This suggests children are a precious gift from God to be valued and cared for.
In the United States, a child a minute is taken into DHS, CPS, and so on custody. The reality is their picks are already selected, you just don't know it. Being perfect no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to the White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. The services your family needs, we the people have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title 4 says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family values. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, but profitable for the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fathers. These are our children. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children God gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by the government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
All right, everybody, welcome to Wednesday evening CPS Victims Hunting for Justice. If you are just new to this show, please go ahead and subscribe while you're here and watching. Also, make sure that you like, subscribe, sign up for notifications. We also have this chat room, which is right here. So during the show, if you guys have any sort of questions or comments or anything like that, please feel free to jump in on that chat. And actually, I welcome you to jump in on that chat and let us know which state you are from, so then maybe we can even assist you with those types of specific areas of need. Listen, we've been bouncing our heads off of things here, trying to figure out why and what we can do and we can't do, or what we've tried and what we think we've done and what we may be able to do, and all of these questions, because all of us have been in this for quite some time. For those of you who are new here, please listen to what we say. We're not lawyers, but what we are experienced, unfortunately, in this department, because we've gone through this, and it is worthwhile to listen to what we have to listen to, and it is to what we have to say, and then also to share amongst people. And the most important people who we need this message shared to are the people that are not involved in this yet, because once they learn about this, or you've learned about this, or I've learned about this, at the point that we learned about it, it was too late. We had already been involved with CPS. So a lot of this stuff that we're teaching and talking about is preventative to help others realize that they don't have to follow the rules of CPS when they come to you. You don't have to sign a safety plan. You don't even have to let them in your house. Now, how can we really get them right in the center mass, right? How can we really do this? Well, a couple of people, we've talked about this tonight, and that is attacking Title IV funding. So what I've done is I've written a letter that you can go ahead and email us at abolishcps.com@gmail.com, and we'll get you a copy of this letter. And then, granted, this is just a start to this, people. Please CC us a copy also when you do this. But it says this. Actually, you know what? Let me share my screen here, and you guys can go along with me on this. Hold on one second. Share the screen. Window. Where are you? Boom. Okay. Share that window. Okay. That's up here. All right. Let me see if I do this full size. Can you guys see it? Yes. And can we see it full size there? Yes, we can. All right. It says, Dear State and Child Welfare Agency or U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, I am writing to formally request an investigation into potential misuse of fraudulent activities related to Title IV federal funding for child welfare services in our state/area. Specifically, I have concerns that Title IV funds may be improperly utilized or reported by, you can put the name of the agency or the organization or individuals if known. Some of the issues I'd like investigated include failure to make reasonable efforts to prevent removal of children from homes, improper determinations of eligibility for Title IV funded services, unauthorized use of funds for purposes outside allowable child welfare services, falsification of data or case records used to draw down federal funds, failure to properly account for funds or comply with auditing requirements. And then there's an area for you here to provide any specific details, evidence, or documentation to support the allegations of misuse. Then it goes on to say, Misappropriations of fraud involving these federal funds deprives at-risk children and families of critical support services. It also violates the intended purpose of the Title IV-E program. I urge you to promptly investigate these claims and take appropriate enforcement actions if violations are found. Safeguarding the integrity of child welfare funding is extremely important. I'm available to discuss this matter further or provide additional information as needed. Thank you for your attention or your attention to this request, and then obviously signed with your name. All right, go ahead, and if you guys, you want to, not even if you want to, please do email me at abolishcps.com@gmail.com, and we will get you a copy of this letter, and then you can send it out. I urge you to send it out to your senators, your congresspeople, send it to the office of Inspector General, send it to the president. I don't care who you send it to, but start sending these letters out for each individual state. Let's hit these people in the purse. This is what we've got to do. They don't get the kids or the money. They don't get to be able to spend it, and they don't get to corrupt, and they don't get to do any of this stuff. So please, people, get a hold of me through that address. Again, that is abolishcps.com@gmail.com, and request this letter. And you can even, guys that I already have your email addresses that are watching the show, you can even go ahead and request something from me from the chats if you don't want to put your emails up there and I already have them. Just say, hey, it's Kenneth or Carrie or one of our people's, Brenda. Any of you guys, I have your email addresses, so you don't have to put those up. So you feel free to just say, hey, Darren, put me on the list, and I will do that. I think that this could be a great tool, but again, it's about us being together and in solidarity. So, three of us just can't do this. We need a lot of people to do this. So when you request these, make sure you, Carmen, make sure you CC your friends, to have them send this out to senators and whomever you opt to do it. Just let's get these things out there, and let's get these people watching and investigating what they're doing with these funds. I mean, that just seems like the way that Melissa and I had talked about today. And I know it's been amongst many conversations, but enough talking about it. Let's be about it, people. Let's send these letters out, and let's see what we can come up with. That all being said, we got a full panel tonight. We have, all the whole gang's here with us. Hold on 1 minute. I'm just trying to get this out of here for us. I don't know what I agreed to with Microsoft, but hopefully it'll not do anything bad to me. All right. So tonight we have on the panel, we've got Miss Tiffany, we got Mr. Herbert, we got Miss Melissa, and our special guest of the evening is Miss Samantha. Samantha, how are we doing?
Good, Darren. Put me on that list.
All right, sweet. We will do that, and we will sign you up as the first one to get that. Sam, so what do you got going on, Sam? What's your story? What do you got going on? You want to inform some people of what you've got to say, and then maybe we can discuss after that what's going on? I know you got a lot. You do a lot, and you have a lot of history in all of this. So I don't mean to put you on there with that open play like that, but
yeah,
maybe explain
it is a lot of history.
Right. Well, we got a whole hour, so we got time.
No, I wouldn't do that. You're going to do that too. I'll just say that it started with my kids being illegally removed, as in no probable cause, no warrant, and at the time I had no idea about the corruption, and so. I was compliant. I did what they said. I listened to my lawyer, thinking that my lawyer had my best interest. I had no idea the truth. And so it started, now I know, with an illegal removal, with no probable cause whatsoever. And it ended in termination of parental rights. But when they removed my kids, they placed them with my abuser. And I mean, he had been found guilty 4 times of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Me, the victim, 4 times in the last 6 years. And a courtroom of professionals and children experts told me that he was the safer parent, and they placed my kids with him. Wow. And so I was completing my case plan and having my visitation, and 2 years later, he abandoned them. And I went to that shelter hearing, and I said, I want my kids. I didn't expect them that day or anything, but I wanted to notify the court that I wanted my kids. I felt that was what was best. And they gave me a case plan and then slapped me with TPR like 4 months later.
Jesus, almighty. TPR 4 months later. Now, how
Yes.
on earth? Now, how on earth here? Since we're talking a little bit about that Title IV funding, how can they say that they were trying to reunify you? They give you 4 months.
Well,
4 months.
there's that. Correct. And all I needed was assistance with housing and daycare so I could go to work, because I was financially dependent on my abusive ex.
Right.
And I thought I was doing the right thing by leaving him. I know I was, for me and my kids.
Right.
But our third day at the homeless shelter, CPS came and took the kids from me.
Right.
And
So they,
like I said,
you know darn well, if you didn't leave him, that would have been their argument to you, is say, oh, well, no, if you don't leave him, because that's the number one thing that they do, is they come in and they break the family apart. Like the man, whether he was an abuser, in this case, he was an abuser, but you do the right thing by leaving him, and there's, wow, well, that's a week, and she can't take care of herself. But if they came in and they ordered it, it would have been fine. Like that would have been it. And that's the game that they play every time. We did a statistic thing, Sam, about the number one targeted group in this whole dichotomy of CPS and them coming after you is two family, lower to just stepping into middle class. So a 2-parent family, lower to middle class white family. That's the people that are being targeted in this thing by an overwhelming number. There's a giant gap between that and then the remaining numbers of single parents and everything else. And they do that so they can just bust the families apart. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So go on. Right.
And I've actually heard recently that that group of people, have adoptable kids, and that makes me nauseous to even hear that. But I believe it.
Yep. They call it damaged goods, is what a lot of people would say, because they don't want children that have a real alcohol problem or a dependency or have issues, or they don't want that, because that's not, when you go to the pound to get a puppy, you want a pound that you want to go get a dog that's house trained. You don't want to put a lot of, what I mean? Like, so this is what they're doing. They're treating the children like they do with the children the dogs that are in pounds. And it's disgusting. It's sickening.
It is.
The kids that really need help are not getting it.
It's funny you say that. There's a newspaper article about my county put out 5 years ago. It had to do with a child in care here in my county that ended up getting beat to death, an 18-month-old baby. But it referred to our county as an area where they're just the same as pound puppies. How many can they get? How much money can they make off of them? And how little can they do to care for them?
So, wow, that's Jesus.
I had 4 children at the time, 6 years and younger, and they were healthy, they were happy, they never missed school, they made good grades. My oldest was in T-ball. We went to church. They were well behaved. They were great kids. They had everything they needed, and so to be in that courtroom and have them tell me that they're supposed to tell you abuse them, neglect them, abandon them, or they're in danger, but none of that was true. And so the reasons they gave me were not even reasons for removal. That we were homeless, that's not reason for removal.
Nope.
And the other one was my history with CPS. And at the time, I just lost my kids. I can't even think straight. Like when I'm in that court's uneasy for me anyway, but I just had my kids ripped from me. And I'm not only feeling my trauma, I can feel my kids' trauma. And then when they take your kids, they don't tell you where they are, how they're doing. They don't let you say goodnight. They don't let their kids take their belongings. They get to maybe take a blanket or a jacket. So, I'm not thinking clearly whatsoever, but there's so many things that, I know now that I wish I knew then, definitely.
So I'm sorry, they took you for being homeless, quote unquote. They took them for that. What was the reason you said?
The other reason is my history with DCF, which I did have a history with DCF. It was because of the domestic violence. But yet they placed my children with my abuser. But then hold it against me for having a history.
They placed my daughter with our abusers. They did this, and I had a PPO against them.
That's their pattern.
They still placed her with them. That's against the law for them to do that. It's against the law.
It seems to be common. Judges doing that.
It's called job security. If they place a
That's
child
right.
with an abuser, it's guaranteed there'll be another case. Therefore, they'll have the option to return. It's job security. It's guaranteed they'll get the money for removing the kid all over again. They'll get the money for the services all over again. It is their pattern.
Right, Melissa. You asked. That's their pattern. That's their tactic. My heart goes out to you, Samantha, because
thank you.
You need time to heal, and they already have did studies on it. When they destroy the family bond, when they take the children from the parents, and break that family bond, everybody is going through emotional trauma. The mother, the father, and the child, and the family members. It's breaking the family bond. Okay. Now I fought the system in one, but it took almost 6 years for that case, and I fought 6 courts, and they had abused my kids, but they was denying me visits and phone calls with them through almost 6 years. So when I got them back and filed my federal lawsuit and all that type of stuff, they became violent towards me because they was violent in those what they did to my kids. They abused my kids when they was in the system, and they raped them and they abused them and they tortured them they punished them for reporting the abuse, put them in mental hospitals, put them on psychiatric drugs. This went on for almost 6 years, and they was arresting me, detaining me, putting me in mental hospitals, detaining me and everything. This is what they was doing. The police and CPS, they worked together. They both were corrupt system of government. And I was innocent. Yeah. And they said I tried to kill my kids, burn my kids up, and molest my kids. All false charges. But my kids, we had several family members that could have got the kids. Guess what they did? They falsified documents. They said that they did a criminal record, that everybody in my family and the friends had criminal records, which was lies. They falsify documents. This is what they do for money, Melissa. Melissa, they do it for money. It's all about money.
Yeah. So, all right, Sam. So what was nice? They gave your kids to the abuser, and then you've have you
3 are in foster care.
3 are in foster care.
One's been adopted. My youngest has been adopted. But I have 3 in foster care that I definitely want to. I've been studying this past year on as I heal, and part of my healing to keep my mind off my trauma, but on something positive that can help me move forward. I've been learning the law the past year, and so I do want to file motions soon to have my children, my 3 in foster care, returned home.
Now the other one was adopted out, unfortunately.
My youngest, yes, and at this point, I don't know if I'm what's best for her. I'm leaning towards I'm not. It really is about what's best for the kids, and that's so lost in the system. But my 3 in foster care, I definitely feel I'm what's best for her.
That's so. Now
you are what God gave God gave you those babies to you. Okay, those are your babies. So you are worthy of your child. Those are blessings from God. Children are angels to the Lord. So you are worthy. I pray that you get healed and delivered and set free, and that God continues to heal and guide you and lead you in the area of your life. Need my help? I'm here to help you file your motions with you. That's what I do. I help people with their cases. But I say this: you're strong. You're a strong, independent woman. You conquered and you endured some things that was harsh, that was hurtful to you. I pray that you get healed and you continue to fight for what's right and fight for the truth and fight for justice. Okay.
I believe in justice. I have been healing, but DCF or CPS did a number on me. It's like they brainwash you, and they're horrible to parents, and it is in my head a little bit, that I'm not a good mom because I heard it so many times, I guess, and I was treated that way, but I know I am. I know I'm an excellent mom and that my kids need me.
Right.
They do, so never give in, never give out, and never give up, Samantha, okay?
Thank you.
She does a lot. She does a lot. But this is the other thing that they do is they just crush you into making you feel like you might have done nothing wrong, but by the time you're done running through this rigmarole with them, they make you feel like you are just an awful, despicable person, that you've, the things that you didn't, that you fell short on, maybe in there. I mean, because let's be real here, the amount of services and the amount of things that they put you through is asinine, first of all. Second of all, if you have a real life or a real, you're doing life right now, you don't have time for all of these things. So you might miss a class here, or you might, excuse me, you might, be 10 minutes late to your visit, but they make you so, they monsterize you and they villainize you so much for having this thing that happens to you, and they come out in court and they just beat you to a pulp, and then you just don't have the strength to continue on and fight. It's very hard. But but Sam, right? But what Sam does, Sam actually, you've come out and started to try to help people, right, through your TikTok and giving motivational speaking.
Hey, Darren, I texted you her flyer.
Yeah.
To your main number. If you wanted to put it up and share it.
Yeah.
My TikTok is about things that I know now that I wish I knew then, to help parents, and it's about healing. I've been very dedicated to my healing journey, so I give tips on what's worked for me. Helping others has worked. My relationship with God has worked. The mindset that happiness is a choice. Every day I woke up and made my bed and got out of bed and chose to be happy. So I share things like that on TikTok to help moms see that healing is possible, that you can get through this.
Amen.
And then all the things I wish I knew then, because I think it definitely would have had my case would have had a different ending if I knew then what I know now. And my parent advocacy thing, I'm starting in my county. I didn't have anybody on my side. I didn't have one single person on my side, not even my own attorney. And so if there was a parent advocacy group, I don't know if it would have changed the outcome of my case, but it would have helped my mental health through all of this. And so I don't want any other mother to have to go through this alone. It's a nightmare.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because in my case, that's what made me start my civil rights advocacy activist nonprofit organization, because I refuse to see what happened to me and my children happen to another mother and their children. Now, they had already kidnapped my kids and took them from me and kidnapped them for real. The police held me at gunpoint and CPS and everything. So my kids were already in there. So I began to advocate and do motivational speaking and just stand up for parents' rights. But I met parents who CPS has used scare tactics and threats and intimidation to get them to sign away their rights. And I was like, don't do that. Your baby needs you. But because of the intimidation and the scare tactics and the threats that CPS do to the parents, they didn't know no better. And I kept telling them, I said, they tried to get me to sign my rights, but my attorneys told me that if I hadn't committed no crime, don't sign nothing with CPS. So I didn't sign nothing with them, because signing a safety plan is a contract. You're going to get the government money for funding from Title for Emergency Assistance. But I said this. I had attorneys who told me don't sign nothing with CPS. And I didn't for almost 6 years. They still kept my kids in foster care. They still denied me my parental rights, denied my kids their rights, denied my family their rights to get custody of my kids. And that went on for almost 6 years.
I was compliant, and I ended up completing my case plan. It didn't matter.
I was compliant too and did everything. I completed my safety plan before I had dealt with CPS in the past, so I knew that what they would have me to do. So I started doing it anyway. I completed it before they even asked me to do it. I went to parenting and did the stuff before they even asked me to do it and completed it. But that didn't matter. Still kept the kids in foster care.
Sam, what are the things that they asked you to do that you felt were nonsense? Like, what were the things that you were like, what? This is crazy.
It's unbearable for you to do. They want you to go to.
Well, hold on. Let's ask Sam here. I know we'll get right to you, but let's get Sam out here. Let's see what they had Sam do here. Sam, what did they?
I
What were
had,
your like? What is this out of reach things? The things that they asked you to do.
well, I don't, for me, it wasn't necessarily out of reach. It was just so many things and a lot of overlapping things. But like I had to take BDT, behavior dialectical therapy. I had parenting classes. I had to have a therapist. I had to have a substance abuse therapist, plus meetings and groups.
What was your case about substance abuse?
Well, the allegations would be.
Right. Okay.
And so the CPS attorney, it was like whatever the CPS attorney said was truth. They never had evidence. They never. It didn't seem to matter. Just what she said was truth. So my case plan included substance abuse stuff because of the allegations. Some of them. I had 18 calls in 6 months, and so in a handful of them, my ex would throw in substance abuse. The allegations were ridiculous. I wish I could remember them. I mean, some of them made me laugh, and I always knew they were coming. I mean, after like the 6th, 7th time, you know they're coming. And so the 18th time they removed my kids, but 17 times before that, it was an open shut case. They would come, they would say the kids are fine, mom's a good mom, kids are safe, case closed. But that 18th time we were in the homeless shelter. So, and I asked them, I said, isn't this harassment? And nobody would help me. But my case, that's what my case plan looks like. It was just a lot of stuff. It wasn't anything too outrageous. It was just so much of it. And then having a job, which I did, and then my own home. And I did get those things within that 2 years, but and those are understandable. But when you're trying to get a job for the first time and a home for the first time on your own, and you got to do all this other stuff, it's hard.
Right. That's just it. Tiffany, what did they have you doing for your things?
They had me doing most of the other stuff that Samantha just said, and they were dang. It was like we did identical stuff. They had me going to parenting classes. I had to go to mental health treatments. I had to have a therapist. I had to have a counselor. We had counseling with the kids, too, family counseling, individual counseling. I had already had a place, so I had to have a house, a job, transportation, all the things they look at for you to get custody of your kids for stability. I worked a job, and after I had got a job for like maybe 2 or 3 years, the judge filed the motion and said my kids was coming home. But CPS didn't even want my kids to come home. I had to complete the service plan, but I didn't even sign it, but I still completed it because I wanted my kids to be home with me. That's wrong to take from me. And I said that's it. So they were denying me phone calls and stuff like that, visits, and when I showed up at court, they was arresting me and detaining me. So I went through that for almost 6 years, and now since I filed a federal lawsuit against them in federal court, they won't stop harassing me, the police and CPS. Because my lawsuit was against judges and police officers, CPS workers, judges. I sued everybody. I sued over 40 defendants, and the judge ruled in my favor that they was wrong for taking my children. So they don't like me, and I don't like them. But I know one thing with God love, you can't do kids wrong. And they harm my kids, but you know what? They're gonna have to answer to God for that. I'm a firm believer in faith, and then Yeshua HaMashiach, that's himself.
Were you able to have contact with your kids after they were TPR?
My rights never got terminated, ma'am.
Okay.
You weren't terminated, Tiffany? You weren't terminated?
I just fought in 6 different courts at the same time. I was in 6 different courts at the same time fighting for my children. So I fought 6 courts. But there's still
no. Do you have your kids now, Tiffany?
Yeah, but my kids, I was faced with police brutality. My abuser, my last children's father, lied on me to the police and CPS and got me arrested and got his own daughter taken from him and taken from me, and he was he was abusing me and my daughter, and everything he was doing to me and my daughter, he said I was doing to him. So they took my daughter. I'm fighting the system right now, and they took my daughter and put her in foster care. But these are false cases, so I'm waiting to have my jury trial for both cases. I'm fighting the system here. I started off fighting for myself, representing myself pro se because I don't trust attorneys and judges, and now I have attorneys handling the cases. And I'm still fighting in the background for my cases. That's why I went to the courthouse today and to make sure my attorney was doing her job for filing motions and stuff. And so waiting to have my jury trial. So I'm having a jury trial for both cases. I have jury trials. I had a jury trial in my last almost 6-year case. So I fought in 6 different courts and I won. I filed my motions and lawsuits myself. Because I had been studying laws for decades. I wanted to be an attorney ever since a little girl. So I had been studying law for decades. And all I did was go by their law books and file motions like the attorneys would file them. And they were like, you smart. I said, y'all took the wrong parent children. The wrong parent children. I love my kids and I'm a good mother. But I fought for this one and I'm fighting this. I'm winning right now. Fighting the system.
Right. Where are you at, Sam? Where are you at in this fight? Like, I know that you're still fighting. Are you still fighting? Are you still trying to get things done? Or are you just looking for a way to get there? Or where do you stand?
Who are you speaking to?
Me?
To Sam, yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm looking for a way to get there. Melissa said earlier tonight that because it's been 20 months, I have to do a federal appeal possibly.
Right.
I also believe I can do an appeal for ineffective counsel, and I was told that that's the state supreme level. That's not federal, is it?
Ineffective assistant counsel.
Well, I don't know because there's many ways that you can go about that. Again, we're not lawyers, but I know that ineffective counsel. I don't know where Melissa is right here. If she's right here or not, but I know that there's different.
Yeah,
levels.
I'm right here.
Okay.
Ineffective counsel in Florida allows you to rehear. You can argue de novo on your termination trial under the arguments of ineffective counsel. But there is a timeline, and off the top of my head, I don't know what the time statute is in Florida under IAC. I know Darren well enough, so I know he's looking it up. But that would actually be filed as a writ of mandamus to the Court of Appeals.
That's what I do.
Writ of mandamus is a powerful motion, just like a habeas corpus is. So they're a powerful motion. They get business done and immediately get you before the judge and solve your issues.
I don't know about immediately. How far am I out right now? 4 months?
They supposed to.
No, they're slow. A writ of mandamus takes up to a year to result a decision.
I'm into 4 months, so I'm in the Supreme Court right now in the state of Maine for mandamus. Right. And,
but the other thing you may look at, Sam, I'll have to look up the timeline for you for Florida, is a Rule 60B. Because of Rule 55, you're past your timeline, but a Rule 60B may still apply. And it's kind of like when you filed your reconsideration at the end, right before you appeal your case. A Rule 60B allows you to go back with new evidence. Things that honestly you were just too scatterbrained during the trial to think of because here they are stealing your children and, trying to put up the fight. Trying to put up the fight is so difficult, that you just kind of forget things. So under Rule 60B, you can put all of those arguments onto a paper. You submit it into your trial court, being that the kids aren't adopted. And then that actually is supposed to mandate in the state of Florida a new hearing. Under that new hearing, that it's kind of like a motion hearing. So it's not like a redo of your termination trial, but they will decide whether or not that motion has merit. If that motion has merit, then it could reopen your termination argument. If they deny it, then you get to redo your termination appeal all over again, and you get to use that evidence from the Rule 60B over and above all the things you should have known during your termination trial that your attorneys may not have made you aware of.
Melissa, what state are you in?
I'm in Alabama, but I also lived in Florida.
Well, this is just a squash pot of information. But hold on, guys. I'm going to play. Hey, Samantha, I'm going to play a couple of your TikToks. Is that cool?
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's get some of these out here so people can see what you actually do and what you do. Let me see here. I know I've got to restart it, so don't yell at me yet because I turned the mute off. There we go. Let's see. Start these over. So these are what she puts up on TikTok. So if you guys,
if you're a parent with an open CPS case that's gone judicial, please learn the law, learn your constitutional rights, learn CPS rules, policies, procedures, learn case law, learn your state statutes. You're going to have to use this newfound time without your kids, that you have more time to learn the law. The caseworkers aren't going to help you. Your own attorney's not going to help you. Guardian ad litem's not going to help you. You're going to have to help you. You're going to have to fight for your family. So if you have an open CPS case or know somebody who does, please get busy learning your rights and the law. You save your family because your kids need you.
that one's great. I love that one. See, this is good stuff that you're getting out to people, because this is this type of stuff that people need. When they're seeking, help for this stuff.
CPS cares about funding, not families. And that
how much longer is it show, guys?
Many
you got plenty of time.
How much time? When will we off the show? What time?
26 minutes.
Okay.
The correct way to speak up to your lawyer. It's best in the courtroom, CPS dependency courtroom, to let your lawyer to do the speaking. When I tried to speak out at my first hearing, my caseworker came to me immediately afterwards and said if I ever spoke up again, I'd lose my visitations. So even if you learn all the right things and know the right motions and want to speak your truth, the appropriate way to do that is going to be through your attorney. But you're going to have to do their job for them because they're not going to do it. They're not going to legally represent you as a lawyer should their client. They're going to milk you along until the end and then say several different scenarios that it could go. One scenario is that, oh, well, your kid has had 12 months with this foster family. Now it's best for your child to be with them. When this past year, your lawyer, court appointed, has milked you along and could have been able to file so many motions, dismissals, and just change the whole process and ending and outlook for your family. Your lawyer's not going to do that. If it's a court appointed CPS conflict counsel is what they are in my county. So just a reminder, if you have an open CPS judicial case, you have to be there. You have to do the research. You have to get the evidence. You have to make sure that your attorney puts those motions and puts those facts in front of that judge. My court-appointed CPS attorney knew I was fighting for my kids. Everybody involved in the courtroom and with CPS knew that I was fighting for my kids. The morning of my TPR trial was a horrible morning. I was scared. I was on edge. I was terrified. And I sat there and didn't say anything and let my attorney represent me, which she didn't even do. She took me in the courtroom for a 5-minute recess, which turned into at least a 30-minute recess, because what she was doing in the hallway was telling me to sign my rights over willingly. My own attorney advising me and telling me that if I love my kids, I'm going to sign my rights over. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I was in a time crunch. We had to get back there in front of that judge before she got pissed off. My own attorney coerced me under extreme duress to sign over my rights. It never crossed my mind to sign over my rights. Not one time. I want my children. I love my children. They need me. I'm what's best for them. I was fighting for my kids. I would never have signed a voluntary termination. So, know your rights, trust no one, and you gotta fight for your family. Because why? CPS cares about funding, not families.
That is about the best information and the best advice that you could possibly give anybody right there. And that's the truth. Absolute freaking truth. Those lawyers aren't there to help you. They're there, I've said it over and over, they're there just to walk down the aisle of TPR for you. And you're making sure that they don't have any blemishes to fight against, when they go to the appeals court. They don't fight for the appeal for you. And this is one thing that I'm starting to tell people too, is make sure you fight when you start putting, information and facts and evidence and all of this stuff, and when you're going to court with your attorneys, make sure that they're fighting for your appeal. They've got to do that. They've got to make sure that they're putting evidence in there that makes it appealable. Because now what they're doing is they're not doing that. They're not putting any fight into that for you. They're saying, yes, they did this. Yes, they did that. There's nothing arguable. There's no laws that for instance, they're not saying that there was no search warrant, or there's no, they're not bringing these things to the evidence table for you. So you can't go there and say, whoa, this is the law and we can't fight this, because the only thing that you can appeal is what was brought up in that trial court. That's it. All the other jargon doesn't matter. All that matters in your appeal is what happened that day that you were at your TPR, what information was brought up, and how it was used. That's all you can use. So everything else in that past. So you got to use that court day, that TPR day, to slam as much information and as much arguable evidence and as much of everything that you can, so that you do have something to appeal. Because what they're doing with us is they leave us so vague that there is no arguable points to be made, because our attorneys didn't bring anything up. Like you said, they never said, "Oh, Your Honor, I object." They never did anything. They just let it go right through. And they knew what they were doing. They knew that there was nothing arguable. They didn't lay out anything to be argued in appeal. They laid it out there so that it couldn't be appealed. Because if you look at what's going on, if you go to your Supreme Courts or your Superior Courts, whoever your appeals are, and go ahead and look at the appeals list about everybody that has appealed their TPRs, if they've even allowed them to, and watch, every one of those are affirmed. And you know why? Because there is nothing to appeal the way that these court-appointed attorneys leave it out. That's facts.
I went through 9 court-appointed attorneys. 9.
Yeah.
They were not following the law, the rules and regulations. They were not following motions. I had to take over control of my own case and file my own motions with the attorney. A lot of people think they can't do that. The case is your case. So even if you got representation and they're not following the law, you still can file motions and stuff yourself with the court. All you need is your case number and go talk to the court coordinator at the courthouse, because the case is your case. So it doesn't matter if the attorneys are court appointed or you pay them. A lot of times they go against their clients for the state, because the state bar holds their license and the judges put pressure on them to violate the law and go against the client rights. And so we need to make sure that our rights are protected at all costs. Due process of law, parental rights, and children's rights need to be protected at all costs.
Hey, don't forget, we have on abolishcps.com, we sell these shirts that helps fund us here. It's we have the kids shirts. They say property of my mom and dad, stop CPS corruption. Let their little kids, let those CPS guys that they know who's what's and what's not. We got the official CPS Punisher hoodie. We also have the abolishcps.com hoodie right here. We have the Make Parenting Great Again hat to go there. And then also, if you guys don't want to do any of that and you have the means, if you can go ahead and click on this little QR code, you can help support us there too. So there's many ways for all of you guys to to support us in this thing. Sam, where do you want to go with what you're doing right now? What's your plans for the future?
Me personally, or pertaining to my kids and
Well, I guess a little bit of both. I guess both for that matters. But I was thinking more or less for what you're doing for others now. You know, like trying to, become, a strength coach. I guess.
A life coach. I want to be an online life coach for moms who have lost custody of their children, and how to find out who they are, because you're a mom, and then all of a sudden you're not a mom, and so I want to help moms rediscover who they are, heal from trauma and grief, and make goals, turn their pain to purpose, and just become a positive, turn something bad, turn that nightmare into something good for themselves, their children, and others.
Because you need something positive, right? When you're going through this stuff, you need to try to turn your focus. You need to try to turn your focus to something good and something to take your time up, if you will. You know what I mean? Because when you sit there and you just pound this into you pound it into your head that you're a bad parent, and these people are constantly, there's never any little wins in any of these fights. You never get like a little sputter to be like, oh, okay, cool, I feel like I'm gaining ground. It's never, at least in my situation, we never got an increase in visits. We never got anything. Like, they just pounded us as soon as I started the podcast. It was game over. No, nothing.
My visitations never moved forward. My visitations were always downtown in a small room, closely supervised. Yep. Everything we did and said written down. They never left that situation. They never moved forward.
Yep. They wouldn't even let us take our daughter outside. No, could we have a visit together?
Right,
we weren't even allowed to, so we had to fly drones in the little room. And, it just wasn't conducive to it. And then they're trying to make something out of. We were lucky in that aspect because the lady that watched us, she thought it was all malarkey. She was like, "Why are you guys even here? This doesn't make any sense." Mm-hmm. And she said it somewhat in there. But guess what? As soon as she started speaking up for us, miraculously, she's no longer around. Because that's what happens in these cases too. Is they just, finally someone speaks for you, they take them away.
That's exactly right.
They fired all the workers in my department.
Yep. That can't be a coincidence. There's 4 of us here, and they did it to all of us, right? Like, so.
Yeah.
My TPR trial that I didn't get to have one of my people there to speak for me on my behalf was the lady who watched my visit, supervised, and saw my bond with my kids, saw I was protective, saw, just saw me as a mom, and she was one of the people there just on my behalf at my TPR trial that I never got to have.
Oh.
You have to record everything. The phone calls and visits, you have to record them. That's what I did, and I still do it to this day. You got to record everything because they lie so much in the sequence. You got to do video, and you got to record them.
Yeah, and as long as, and that's the other thing is you get them recorded. But if your state doesn't go by 2-party rule or whatever, 1-party rule, I'm not sure about those things, how they work, but if your states don't follow those guidelines, here's the problem. They don't allow you to use it. And that sucks. That sucks when you have someone sitting there blatantly lying, committing perjury. You have the evidence that you need to pursue it, and they won't allow you. But Melissa, how does that work? Does that change if you go to like different levels of court, the recording stuff? Can you use recordings if it's against state law in any levels of court, or is you have to always
just like Yancey says, the one thing you got to always consider, depending on what you're recording and how you're recording, is the recording more valuable than the harm it will do? So always weigh your options. But if you want to use the arguments that are in a recording, but you don't quite want, you may have questions as to whether it's going to be admissible or not, what you need to do is you get the audio off of it transcribed, okay? So, and what you do is you cross-examine someone, like if I wanted to cross-examine my director, and I ask her questions, well, I have a recording of her saying the exact opposite. What I turn around and do is I ask her the questions, and then I call her out and I say, well, but are you sure you didn't say this on that date? And when she says, no, I didn't say that, then that allows me to enter my transcription into evidence. Your Honor, this is what was actually said, and she's committing perjury. And then when they say, well, can you verify that this is a true and factual document? Yes, sir, I can give you the recording too. Now you've made your recording admissible in court.
Oh, good stuff. That's good stuff to know. Because I know that there are so many people out there that have this stuff, and then they're not able to use it because of that. But if what you say is true in fact, then that's
you always have to transcribe it first. The transcription is admissible where the audio or video may not be right off the top.
Right.
And you have to use your arguments under cross-examination of the person, either by an attorney or by yourself.
Right. Wow, that's good stuff right there. That is really good stuff. Yeah, Jesus. I wish I would have known that. I just found actually a recording the other day, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I don't know if there's anything you can do with a recording, years after that you found that could do something, but I'm trying to learn that one myself.
I mean, it's evidence in your, in your other case. It's evidence to back your mandamus.
Right.
It falls under the rules of evidence. She's exactly right. That's true, Melissa. It's under the rules of evidence.
Right. So, where are we gonna? Sam? So now that we know about your professional stuff, what's next for you on the fight here with your? If you don't mind talking about it, if you're still like gunging, like you don't want to speak about it because you don't want to give them anything, that's fine too.
Right.
But, are you thinking about anything?
Motion to withdraw termination of parental rights. I need help writing motions, and then my motion for appeal, which hopefully I'm able to do because there wasn't evidence brought in, but I do think I have something with the ineffective counsel because one of the Florida statutes says the surrender may be withdrawn after accepted by the department only after a finding by the court that the consent was obtained by fraud or duress. And to me, that's clearly duress. To me, it is.
So you were never given an appeal? You never had an appeal?
I did appeal it.
No.
But it went right in front of the same judge.
In
my county.
The same judge?
Yes. I appealed it.
Because she was a voluntary, they have her as a voluntary termination, so she was appealing her signature. She never got a full-blown appeal or even a full-blown trial.
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, if you need my help, Samantha, I'm here. I want your I have put in my iPhone to get your TikTok so I can support you on TikTok and share it.
Oh yeah, what is your TikTok so I can put it up here so people can see that?
Let me go to TikTok. What is it?
At Sam's Healing Journey.
Sam. S-A-M-S.
Sam's Healing Journey.
Healing.
And yeah, I was going to ask Darren for your contact info, or if you just want to find me on TikTok and send me a DM, I would love to talk with you.
TikTok.
Okay,
I can email it to you after the.
Okay. Into that so I can help you with your cases. I can help you find your cases. Okay, Samantha.
Okay. Thank you. I feel like I found you for a reason tonight. Thank you. That'd be great.
I'll put it into the chat.
Okay.
All right. All right.
So you're 4 months in, Darren. Good luck to you in your case or your appeal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So, we lost the appeal 2 years ago, and then it took me 2 years to write this mandamus. Because after you lose the appeal, it's you go through this lull of being depressed. You just. You know what I mean? You gear up for this fight. It is really like war, like gearing up for that TPR, and you have that emotion in you that you're saying, there's no way that this is going to go down. There's no way that I'm going to lose this. There's nobody with the right mind would even make me feel like I should lose this case, because this is so asinine and so ridiculous, and then you walk out of there and you just you just feel just destroyed and decimated. And where do you go? And then you deal with the appeals thing, and then you get the court-appointed appeals guy, and at this point that they're not on your side anymore. You're like, wait a minute, you've been with these people for this long, and they didn't do diddly squat for you in that courtroom. They didn't do a damn thing for you in that courtroom. And then it's the appeals lawyer, and then it's a whole other process, and it just sucks. It just sucks.
Courtroom's the last place you want to be.
What do you do? Right. So I did a writ of mandamus, which a lot of people said it couldn't be done and it shouldn't and all of this, but I did it. It stuck my first trial when I sent it. I don't have an attorney. I did it all myself. It's stuck. It's sitting there, and I asked the other day what was going on, and they said that it's still in play. So we'll wait and cross our fingers and pray to the sun gods and everything else that this will be, someone will have to finally realize that this is wrong and do something right. I mean, I'd love to. I would love that more than nothing for that to be the case.
How old is your daughter now?
She is 4 or 5. She's going to be 7. She'll be 7 this year. She's been gone.
Oh my gosh!
She was almost 4.
I listened to your podcast, so she's 7 now.
Yeah, she is. Well, she will be on May 26th. So, yeah. So hopefully, maybe this will work out and we can get her home for her 7th birthday. Who knows? Got to stay positive, manifest the good things, right? We can't keep getting down.
Absolutely.
We can't be down. We got to manifest good.
She's coming home.
You know what? You can't only be beat down so much, before it's got to give, like the Lord knows that he's giving you enough for your test. So, reach up. And if he doesn't think that it is, well, you just fight through it and tell him the hell it is. And this is enough. I'm coming out of this and I'm taking my kid and we're leaving. That's what we've got to do. And we all need to manifest that way. And we all need to unite. We all need to stick together in this.
Yes, we do.
I mean, it's fine that we all do our own little things. That's great. But that's what I've been trying to create this whole time with the abolishcps.com thing, is I'm trying to get one spot for everybody that's trying to help everybody to go to. That way you don't even have to search anymore. You go to one place, everybody parks their asses right there. And if you need help, they're all right there. Every advocate, every person, every lawyer, every whatever it is, CPS, anti-CPS, is there. Whatever you need help with. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build that unity. Because we can't do this individually. We just can't.
Right. And I don't think the politicians are going to do it. I think it's going to be us, the people, uniting.
Right. It does. And they need to see that there's definitely more of us than there are of them. I mean, there's millions and millions of us that have been affected by Child Protective Services in one way or the other. And there's millions and millions enough. They think it's a joke. They think that this movement's funny. That's why they don't do anything about it. They think because none of us are going to do anything. No one's going to do it. They're going to do the little TikTok things. They're going to blah, blah, blah. No, screw you. This election's coming. These people need to wake up and they need to come out and feel good about themselves. Maybe they haven't voted in years. Maybe they haven't left their house in years because they've been locked in a closet because they can't stand the face that they look at in the mirror. Well, it's not your fault. Come out and help us. Be the good of this, even if you can't get your kid back, help someone else get their kids back. All of us need to be together in this. And that's the biggest thing. We all have so much friggin' knowledge that if we all put our minds together into one spot, we would just decimate them. There's no doubt. When they saw millions of people on a list to say, okay, we're going to change some things around, they would sweat in their boots. I mean, how many people even voted last election? 3 million? There's way more than 3 million of us that have been affected by CPS that if we showed up for election, you ain't going to even worry about, fraud in the election. There'll be too many of us that vote together, so that's why I keep forcing this November stuff too. We've got to get together. We've got to start figuring out who's who. We all need to start educating each other on who the right people to pick off of this. Because otherwise we're waiting another 4 years. And then what? And then what? And then what? You know what? We're getting tired. We're getting older. Our kids are getting older. We fall off. New people come on. This is just a revolving door. So, I mean, it's time for someone, some of us to get a win here,
There's a new movement that's starting that's called The Children Are Coming. And that gives me chills. The
Wow,
kids who've been.
you just stood up the back of my neck right there. That's a good one. Is that true?
Yes, yes,
you just
it's
come up
true.
with that, or is that real?
No, it's on Instagram and I think it's on Facebook. It's a real movement. The foster kids are coming out.
Oh
And
boy, good. See, we're on the right side. Yeah, Nina, I've been fighting for you this whole time, honey. If you're in that movement.
Okay, Samantha, make sure you call me.
I will. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Be blessed, my sister.
Yes.
All right, Sam. This is how we do things here. Last thoughts for the night?
If any mom is out there that has a CPS case or has had a CPS case, know that you are mom and you are what's best for your kids, and your kids need you and love you, and that all this is not your fault. You are a good person. You are a good mom, and I wish you healing and the ability to fight for your kids if it's possible. Don't let CPS win. Share your story, because that's how you get your power back.
That's right. And also, check out this right here. If you moms need your help and you need support, let me move this ticker down here. I'll make sure I put it up at the end. Moms are best. That's her support, and she's going to be great at it. Tiffany, last words?
If you are an individual with an open or closed CPS case, or you are a foster child, you can give me a call. I'm a civil rights activist and advocate. I stand up for your rights for children, parents, and family dealing with CPS or the judicial system. And so you can give me a call at 810-221-6553, and I would greatly see how I can be of service to you.
All right. I got your number. I'll put it up here for you here in a second. Melissa, last thoughts. There we go.
Well, last thoughts are never trust your public pretenders. Don't be afraid to speak out or to write a letter to the judge or something to let the judge know that you're not happy with the lack of representation. But on another note, I got a small announcement to make for the wife of someone watching. Tonight is Chris Cambron's birthday, so I want to give him a shout out and a happy birthday. Even if he is currently sitting behind bars, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Thank you.
All right. Herbert. Coming out. There he is, coming out of the box. What do we got, Herbert? Last thought, buddy.
Yep. Never let CPS in your house unless they have a court. The paperwork signed by the judge. Even if they have a police officer standing there with them. Don't be intimidated by the police because they can't enter your home.
Even if it's Herbert, right?
Even if it's Herbert, that's me. I can't come in your house unless I have the authority by the court. So don't let Herbert in, because I will come in.
All right.
And when I come in your house, whatever I see in plain view, I'm gonna charge you with it. Okay. So I may come in your house because they're doing a one of those visits. They're doing one of those child visits. But I see some illicit drugs around. Well, I'm gonna take you for those illicit drugs.
So Herbert's last words of the night are: make sure you put your illicit drugs away when Herbert comes in the house.
That's correct.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all very much for tonight. It was a good night. It was a good show. Sam, good luck with everything. And everybody else, we'll catch you all tomorrow. Same time, same place.
Okay.
All right. That was a great show. Sam's great. She does a lot for a lot of people, and she's going to do more. You know what, Mrs. American Pie, I've got something for you right now. Let me tell you a small story real quick before we get out of here. I got to find your comment here. Right there we go. So this comment right here, put on your boxing gloves. So the guy by the name of Lester Brown, he's a motivational speaker. And he says, time to take the gloves off, right? Trying to, like me to get back up and fight and all of this stuff. And if you ever noticed in a couple of my other videos, it says time to take the gloves off. Well, that was their reason for the TPR, because I'm a violent person, was the saying to take off your gloves, time to take the gloves off to fight against CPS. They told me that was the reason I was TPR'd, because of the choices that I make and to make comments like that towards the CPS people, and it's intimidating, when all I meant was, you know what, it's time to take the gloves off and fight these bastards that stole my kid. I'm the CPS Punisher. I'm out of here. You're damn right. Yep. Subscribe, tell a friend, do all that stuff.